This first question, and as with all questions, I'm going to announce how long the candidates have to answer the question. To this first question, the candidates will have 60 seconds in which to answer, and we'll start with Julie. And all subsequent answers will start off, we'll move down the line. So John, we'll start with give the first answer on the second question, for example. So, and this question is based on information presented at city council meetings. That's an important note. The city manager has publicly stated that the responsible bidder ordinance has cost the city a significant amount of money, possibly in excess of $1 million per year. The city's corporate counsel has stated that in his legal opinion, the responsible bidder ordinance effectively precludes any non-union businesses from bidding on jobs which are in excess of $50,000. Do you agree that the responsible bidder ordinance, as written, effectively excludes all non-union companies from bidding on jobs in excess of $50,000? And the second part is, do you support the responsible bidder ordinance? Why or why not? You have 60 seconds to answer.
Sure. Well, I think I support a responsible bidding in general, but I don't know that an ordinance is required in order to do that. I'm not an attorney, but from my reading of the responsible bidder, it does look like it does preclude people that would be outside of the union. So if you're non-union, there are some restrictions that appear there. I don't think that's beneficial in general because I think the professional staff is capable of reviewing bids and allowing people, all people, whoever can provide a service to the city to bid on those services. And I think if the union has something to offer, they should be able to put that forward. And if you're non-union, you should put forward your position. And so then we would make a decision based on that, no matter what the service is. So I don't know that an ordinance is really required.
Quickly, I'm glad that we took action Wednesday. We're going to look at this bidder ordinance going forward, try to get some information about how much it costs, if it does cost anything. I think relying on an off-the-cuff remark by the manager to try to attack this is not the right way to go. So we're going to look at it going forward. We're going to study what it does. But I support it. The effectively banned part that you referenced, Chuck, is as a result of the apprenticeship program. The responsible bidder ordinance complies with state law, and that's where a lot of the restrictions come from as far as prevailing wage and so forth. So it's not a lot of control on those things at the local level, but the apprenticeship program supports the efforts that we have in town to try to create job opportunities for our local residents. And non-union companies can create those apprenticeship programs if they want to, and unfortunately most of them haven't, and that's what the effectively banned part is.
Andrew?
I would say that, even though I'm not a lawyer, there are so many restrictions in the responsible bidder ordinance that it's hard to tell, is it just a union or is it more? But we shouldn't be having all these restrictions on who can do the job. As the city manager did state at that council meeting, it's actually every bid that they do take and seriously consider, no matter what, they believe the job can be done right and at the price that's quoted. If the job's going to be done right, it's going to be done well, and it's going to be done at the job quoted. It shouldn't matter if it's a union, if it's anyone else doing it, so long as they're getting the best price to you, the taxpayer. That's what the city needs to be doing, not having an ordinance that says, oh, is this person going to be allowed? Is that person going to be allowed? If state law is there saying we have to do X, Y, and Z, we follow state law. But other than that, our job is to make it as affordable for the residents of Elgin, for the businesses in Elgin, and to pay attention to that.
Ultimately, I believe that taxpayers, they deserve competition. In this ordinance, to me, it does appear that some non-union outfits may be left out in the cold. And that may or may not be true, but the way it's written, it seems a bit odd with if you're going to be a non-union outfit and still be able to compete. I'll give us an example from my private sector world. Some people in this room know that I manage a hotel, and when we have a large piece of equipment that's going to be several $1,000s, for example, an expense, there's no doubt about it. It's not a union versus non-union issue. We simply want to get at least a 3-bid process, if not more, and go through all of them and make the smart choice. We're looking at the reputation of the company, many things, but we're not making it a union versus non-union thing. We're just trying to make the right choice on which company to go with for our needs.
The responsible bidders ordinance as we currently have, and I actually do apologize to those folks that have been, were at the city council meeting this past Wednesday, because this was hashed over pretty well. The portion that actually is the issue is one paragraph where it says if the contract is above $50,000, you must be required to have an apprenticeship program. Now in reality, that really means, and I should say technically, that means that anybody can bid on it. Anyone can have an apprenticeship program. But in reality, that means that you must be a union shop. If you go and find the number of private shops that actually do have an apprenticeship program, they're few and far between. That's the issue at hand. What we want to do in our bidding process is to find the best bid, the best cost, quality, and hopefully also choose locally if we can. But that should not exclude people that are companies that are non-union. And that's what we're doing right now for jobs over $50,000.
I'm a little bit with Toby on this one. The actual code, it was paragraph or section I believe, of the code, and it was passed on March 23rd, 2011, that particular paragraph. They put it in, I believe, to protect the unions. I don't support it. I believe in fair competition. I believe in free enterprise. I don't think that quality is decided whether it's union or non-union. I think unfair bidding, the bidding, I believe is definitely a union issue. So fair competition is what I think.
Thank you. I support looking at the responsible bidders ordinance. I voted to bring that back. I was actually going to make that motion to bring it back this year. One thing that, well, a couple of things I need to clarify. The majority of the responsible bidders ordinance is already state and federal law, and it requires, in terms of prevailing wage and safety and training issues. The difference is that with the responsible bidders ordinance, it does require the businesses to have an apprenticeship program, and that is not something that you have to be a union shop to have. In fact, if you have apprentices working in your business, you can legally pay them less than what you pay your other workers. So that should be an incentive for a business to actually hire apprentices and train them so that they are working safely in our community. It's one of the reasons I support it also is workforce development is part of our strategic plan. And we want to make sure that we have a well-trained workforce in Elgin. Thank you.
Well, it seems like we do have consensus that we need to take another look at this ordinance. If it's prejudicial in any respect, we probably do need to amend it. But I understand that there are state regulations out there, perhaps federal regulations that may prohibit that. Having said that, I've worked both as a union member and as a management member, and I can see both sides. The bottom line should be, to have somebody out there to perform the job or service or equipment that is the best price, but also the right fit for the job. Just because they're a union shop doesn't mean that they'll do the best job, but it shouldn't exclude the non-union shop from also bidding. So I think we need to take a look at it, and if it is prejudicial in any way, we need to change it. Thank you.
I have reviewed this ordinance and I support it in part and oppose it in part. It has two parts actually. One part requires that there should be 10% workers on the job who live in Elgin. I support that. I think 10% is a good requirement. The second part, in one paragraph, it says, we will give you bid incentive if you hire apprentice from Elgin. And I believe giving bid incentive is not appropriate at this time. I think economy is good now. But it has to be looked into. Other than that, I think it has several clauses in it which are good clauses, like a pre-bid meeting and so forth. And 50,000 was mentioned. Actually, 50,000 has been raised to 100,000 in 2013, and the current code would say 100,000. So anything above 100,000, you need to have